Ho, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bernard Peters, and I'm running for governor. I was in the debates, which was only one, because Mr. Scott did not want more than that because he was too busy with Corona, which it was serious. But we should have had more debates to bring out more issues. He had a lot of TV time that the rest of the candidates could not afford. Gives him a pretty big advantage. If the rest of us had to come up with that kind of money or that kind of time to pay for it, we would not have had enough money to do it. So he got a lot of free time, and we were hoping to get more answers out of him at the debates than just having him get free TV time. I'm here to try to fill in some of the things that might be important to all of us. You know, money is an issue. Everything's an issue nowadays. First of all, Mr. Scott said that he was going to back the gun owners and the sportsmen. He did not. The old story is, if you're going to lie to me, don't talk to me. If you're going to say something, don't say you're going to do it. You should be saying, maybe I can do it, and I hope I can do it. Don't come out and say you can when you probably know you can't. This is one of the issues that bothers me a lot. Our Second Amendment is very, very important. I'm a member of the NRA. The NRA didn't think these laws were very good either. They thought they were pretty bad. He didn't have to go as far as he did. Every time they go this far, they hurt the honest sportsmen and gun owners. Every time they pass new laws, it don't make the bad guys stop. Don't keep picking on the honest, regular people. Pick on the people who deserve to be picked on and put in jail. Now, one of my questions is saving money. Now, I've worked for the Agency of Transportation for 35 years. And in that amount of time, I have seen huge amounts of wasted money. For some reason, when people get a budget, if they don't spend it all, they get penalized on the next budget by not getting the money that they saved. Well, wait a minute now. I thought saving money was a good idea. I have an idea that I think would save the state some money. Now, every department gets a budget. If I was governor, I'd bring in every department head one at a time, set them down, and say, now, this is your budget. Can you operate on this budget? If they said yes, I said, now, can you operate and save money on this budget and still give the people of Vermont the necessities and what they need that your department is supposed to be producing? If they said yes, I'd say, in that case, for every money that you save, you will get a small bonus. I call this incentive package. You don't penalize somebody for saving money. You should reward them for saving money. What is saved can go back in the general fund. I don't think it'd be too long before we'd have some extra money. When I debated Mr. Scott, he was talking about money and the expenses, and I said to him, I says, there's no law on the state books that says you can't save money. I listen to people say, I'm for the Democratic Party, I'm for the Republican Party, I'm for whatever party. In my opinion, this is a wrong statement. When you are elected, you're not working for the party. You're working for the people who elected you. And you're working for the state of Vermont to make it better. You're working to bring jobs here. You're working to have the young people stay here. Somewhere beyond that, you might say you're working for the party, but the above are more important right now than what's below that. The other thing is when I listen to the two parties or more argue like little kids on the playground. If they don't get their own way, they just cry and scream and yell and carry on. Now, I look at it like this. You may have a person of the opposite party come up with a good idea. Well, you may not like that person, but you'll have to admit they come up with a good idea. What I think you should be doing is, even though you don't like that person, you don't get along, you should work together because this is for the state of Vermont and the people of Vermont. So if it's a good bill, you can take credit for it along with him or her, and everybody wins. But when you stand there and tie things up and hold them up and cost people money, the taxpayers, for your session in Montpelier, which drags on and on and on. That's the other thing. I believe there should be so many days of everybody down there. Then when you adjourn, if your party ain't come together with everybody else and pass the bills, and you get called back in, you don't get paid. You come in on your own time because you had a chance to do what you were supposed to do, and you didn't do it. Now, Scott is doing a lot. I'll give him credit for a lot of it. And then other things I don't think he's doing so great on. Neither one. So the people out there right now who are still undecided on voting, and either one of you may not think either party that's got a candidate right now is that great, I'm the third choice. You might want to consider me. I'm an outsider, but I've been around a long time, seen a lot of stuff. And I don't think that just arguing is not the way to go. When you can save some money, you got money for what? A rainy day. If we could have a budget and these departments would save money and not be penalized for it, and I understand some of this comes from the federal government, so there's strings attached to it. Every department's going to be different. But when you save money, save it and get rewarded, don't get penalized. When you go out and you do a job, you shouldn't have to think that if I don't use that money up, we're not going to get it next year. That's not incentive at all. That is just bad management. On the other thing too is, while we're on the things of guns and stuff, Mr. Scott, he amended the state gun laws, and I don't know what that means. I haven't read anything anywhere about it and what happened. When somebody amends it, it should be clarified what was amended and how it was amended. Was it because that word amend can be a good amendment or it can be a bad amendment. It should be specified and clarified. The other thing is, like I was saying about saving money, a lot of times in a lot of departments, you have multiple tiers of management, all doing basically the same thing and getting paid for it. When I was working, we had multiple bosses. And I always told them, I don't need that many bosses. I can only do what one person wants at one time. So I only need one boss. We got other things that, excuse me, there's other things that we should talk about too. And when you're working, I mean, you're working for the people. Scott stood there when he was first running, and he was really concerned about the young people not coming and taking over when the elderly people retire. He was concerned about that. We don't have enough young people to take over. Well, I had a chance to speak with him at noon that day. And I said, well, Mr. Scott, we spend a phenomenal amount of money educating our children. I says, and when they graduate, they go somewhere else. So I says, we invest money in our children, they get an education, another state offers them a job, and we lose them. And we end up with what? Zero. Our investment's gone. It's gone. It's not helping Vermont one bit. And I said, you know why, Mr. Scott? Because Vermont got to the point now is where they have so many rules and regulations and so many laws and so many taxes that really no young person is going to start a business. There's nothing here for them to work with or work for. Other places offer them good jobs, and they take it, and you can't blame them. Then he said, well, we're having a hard time for truck drivers and people who deliver. I said, well now, I think the state passed a drug law. If you don't pass that test in that little bottle, you don't drive a truck. So sometimes when you pass a law, you don't make things better. you make them worse. Nobody seems to try to understand down the road what may happen. I get the feeling sometime, I've seen this time and time again, we get a nice winter. Snow machinists, skiers, all kinds of people here for wintertime. We have a good year. We making all kinds of money. I have a feeling sometimes that Democrats, Republicans, whoever, they sit around the table just like a seance and go, oh, where can we spend this money? Oh, what can we start? Oh, what are we going to have? What can we do? And they come up with an idea and they just throw it in there and start spending money. But guess what? The next year might not be as good as this year here. So then you know what happens? The tears start rolling down. How are we going to fund this? How are we going to take care of it? I know. Let's raise taxes. Let's put more fees in there. That'll cover our cost. Well, before you started that, you should have looked at it and thought down the road if you were going to have any money the next year. Observe it. Look at it. Have somebody with common sense come in. That's probably the best thing to do. And you'd have an idea if you wanted to start that or not. Because once you throw money at it, they just keep throwing money at it. Because it's not theirs. It's taxpayers' money. Then you got a lot of people who come in here because the governor wanted to pay them to come here. And I'm going, why would we take the Vermonters' hard-earned tax dollars and pay somebody to come here when the easiest way to get people to come here is job opportunities? If you got the jobs, you got decent paying jobs, and you got a lot of them, you won't have to pay people to come here. They will come on their own, and they'll spend money. Like the plastic straws and the plastic bags. We banned them. Okay. Good idea, I guess. But there was another one of these. There was no forethought here whatsoever. Before you ban something, shouldn't you have already in place an alternative to take that place of what you're going to ban? So now you could have had somebody come in here, a company that does plastic out of the way, get that out of the way, and they come in here and guess what? They make paper bags. Wow, what an idea. Our loggers go back to work. Our truckers go back to work. Our unemployment rate goes down because they have to have people to make them bags in that factory. They have to truck them. They have to produce them. Oh, no, nobody even thought of that. They just said, well, we're going to ban it. No forethought whatsoever. Sometimes I think maybe what they need down there is a regular old farmer, an old logger down there who has a little common sense, and they look at their things because they have to look at it and see what they can make, build any money out of it. They don't just take and spend because they don't have that much to spend. I mean, there's a lot of issues out there right now. And when you talk about the political party, like I said, nobody seems to want to work together. I just don't understand that. I mean, and we wonder why it's costing us money. And we do have some nice politicians down there. We do have people trying. But the old story is, if you're the only 2 or 3 people who are trying to get something done and done right, and nobody else is helping you, it's the old story of like shoveling you know what against the tide. You're going to get drowned because nobody's helping you. And for some reason, everybody just seems to want, sometimes certain groups, that only do it for their advancement in the political process, which is not right. That is not right at all. You shouldn't be doing this for your personal gain. You are elected to do it for the gain of Vermont and the people here. Then you got people, I look at it like this. It's like I was saying about the party. Now, Mr. Scott had all this free advertisement. The rest of us didn't. So when you got people that are retired, working by the day, would have to pay this kind of money would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think the way to make this fair, and I hate to say take state money, but that'd probably be the only way you could do it, is give each candidate the same amount of money, no matter how rich or how poor they are. They did the legwork. They do all the paperwork. I know. I've been through this more than once. There's a hell of a lot of stuff that you got to do to get on the ballot. It's a lot of legwork. And if you ain't got much money, it's expensive. It can be expensive. Everybody who gets on the ticket should get the same amount of money. You spend it the way you want. When it is gone, you don't get no more. No out-of-state interest, no nothing. If you do take some from out of state or from other places, you're kicked off the ballot. That would make it fair, make it an even playing field, so the person with money couldn't beat the other people out of the race, which I think makes sense. Well, the questions that come up sometime, a lot of different ones, is right now I think one of the biggest problems we have in Vermont is mental health. We need to put money in mental health. Every time you pick up the paper lately and read the obituaries, it's somebody died instantly. Well, usually that's suicide. We've had a lot of that in Vermont. It's almost like a disease right now. I mean, this is terrible. I mean, young people, everybody, for some reason, I don't know if it's depression or what, but this is bad. I mean, we need more mental health people to help. I mean, it's not even feasible to keep doing this. Another thing that I didn't understand and I learned is the drug addiction problem we have here. Very serious. Of course, the people who are dealing, I think they'll be put away. They basically keep letting them go on their own recognizance and putting them back on the street, and guess what they're going to do again? If they're making money off it the first time, they sure are going to make money off it the second time because they didn't have to pay no penalty. Now, I did not understand when you go and you get methadone, I thought this was to get people off drugs. I was mistaken from what I understand. They give them drugs, methadone. I was under the assumption that they kept giving them a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less until they were offing it. The way I understand it, they give them what they need. That's like saying to the person who drinks, I want you to stop drinking and I'll bring you a six-pack tonight. Or the person that smokes and I'll bring you a pack of cigarettes tonight. That's not getting people off in the addiction. I think that needs to change some, because if you're giving people drugs and you're a drug dealer, or the state of Vermont giving people drugs, there's not really much difference in my book there. You're a drug dealer. You're a drug pusher. You're keeping the people in the same confinement of addiction that they've always had. They should be trying to get them off in this and get them out in the workforce to get them. I think a lot of people, once they find out how bad addiction is, would love to get off in it, but it just takes a lot of help. Like people who smoke. They have gum, they have patches. I'm hoping that there must be something out there that would help these people. When they're on drugs, they're not a productive person, and I don't think they even feel good about themselves, but they have no choice because they're so addicted. I mean, some of these issues we have to address pretty soon because it's not getting better. Infrastructure. Our roads are going to pieces. Money. Well, every time they do that, well, let's raise the gas tax. Well, that's not curing the problem. I mean, you got to have more money for roads, because if you don't have roads, you don't have commerce. Most of the people around here, take a drive most any road, and if you got a coffee, it better be half empty, because you're going to spill it over the bumps if it's more than half full. It's going to be everywhere because of the roads. Bridge building, infrastructure again. I worked on construction all my life. They'll build a bridge out to contract, and they'll put it out, and they'll start working on it. It takes 28 days per pour to do a bridge. But nobody ever thinks ahead again. Why, if you're going to put a bridge out to bid, why wouldn't you put two out to bid that are close by, so they can work on the first one, and when you do your first pour, you go work on the second one. On that pour, you got 28 days, you come back. You got bridges That could be started, the abutments could be put in when the water is low like it was this year. You can put the abutments in before you build the bridge. So if the abutments were put in when you have low water, you don't have to spend all this extra money diverting water, pumping water. If there's no water there, you can definitely work a lot faster and get the job done at a lot less cost. You go bridges again. In the summertime, everybody in the country is looking for bridge steel if they're doing bridges. Why does it have to be laid out in the summertime? If you put that abutment in low water, you leave it there and work on that more bridge, a bridge that's more needs determination to be fixed. Then when it gets colder, you order your steel. Steel companies aren't too busy in the wintertime on bridge steel, I don't believe. Okay, it's cold, yes, guaranteed. But the steel might be cheaper too. You can lay that on that bridge in the wintertime with cranes on a warm day. So when it gets summertime, guess what? The steel is all laid out there. All you got to do is pour your concrete. That's a cost saving. I mean, all this stuff that saves money could go back for a rainy day fund. I don't know when the last time the state had a rainy day fund. That means like if Irene come through and we had a rainy day fund, well, guess what? We could get to work instantly doing what needed to be done. And then when FEMA got their act together and paid us back, we'd already have it done and we got money coming back to us. Sounds pretty simple to me. But sometimes, like I said, common sense don't fit in there anywheres. And there's a lot of things that the state needs done. Can I solve them? Probably not. Probably nobody else can. But you got to take one thing at a time, and you got to work on it. Now, this Bickering, I've listened to meetings in Montpelier, and that is what it is. It's Bickering. Now, when these people are getting paid to solve problems, and they're bickering like 5-year-olds, you might as well take that money out on a windy day and throw it in the breeze, because it's not accomplishing nothing. We're paying them, but it's not accomplishing nothing. When you put money into something, you expect results. Now, I know everybody don't get along. I've seen that at work time and time again. But you know, just even like I said before, if you don't like that person, at least tolerate them enough to get something done that helps everybody in Vermont. Now, I hear about the minimum wage law. That is a sticky issue. And I had a young fella that signed a petition, and his question was about the minimum wage. And I said, well, that's a double-edged sword. I said, if you go to college and you get a degree, whatever it is, and you come out of college, you can't expect to get X number of dollars to start with per hour, because you have a degree, but you don't have no experience. When I was going to school, which was a long time ago, they had places down there where if people, well, mostly the guys, they had a hard time to learn. They went to a trade school. They became a mechanic. They became a body worker. They became an electrician. They became a plumber. Okay, they weren't that good in school, but they took a trade, and they learned it. And I said to the young guy, I said, if you were in trade school, and you come out, and you'd been in trade school for 4 years instead of college, you probably deserve more money per hour to start, because guess what? You have done that job. I said, most people would pay you because you've done that job in trade school. They ain't going to pay you if they don't know if you can do that job or not. You're going to have to work your way up like we used to do in the old days. You went to the job site, and they said, what can you do? Well, I can do this, this, and this. And what else? That's it. So you go to work for this contractor. I did that when I started out. I was the gopher. The new guy on the job is a gopher. Then pretty soon the boss says, well, have you ever run a bulldozer? No. He says, we've got one right there. He says, I'll show you how to start it. He says, you level out the groundwork. He says, don't have to be perfect, but he says, level it out. Okay, so you start out, and they don't look very pretty if you never run a bulldozer. By the time you get done, they don't look very pretty, but you have leveled it out. So pretty soon, the more you run it, the better you get. Well, pretty soon the boss looks at that and says, "You're doing pretty good on that machine. I'm going to give you a raise." So you get a raise. So that job's done, it's closed down, you go somewhere else to work. They say, "What can you do?" "Well, last job I was a gopher, and I run bulldozer." "Oh, you run equipment?" "Oh, good. I can start you for this amount of money." So that's called an incentive package. I mean, you just don't say, "I want this kind of money." You got to prove that you can do that kind of money work, and people will reward you. If you just stand there and say, "Well, I need X number of dollars, you pay me or not," you ain't going to be on that job very long. Just ain't going to. So these are things that some of the younger people should be thinking about. Maybe the job you started out as is not the highest paid job you'd like, but that's where you get experience. You got to work at it. And it's just, I know it's hard work. All us, I'm not old, I'm mature. Mature people have been down that route. I mean, over the years, I've learned stuff all the time. I mean, when I was on construction, you learn all the time something new. And sometimes if you don't have much to do and you say to the boss, "I'd like to learn how to run that piece of equipment," he'll put you on it. Because if you learn good, he's going to keep you. And he's going to give you more money the better you get at that job. And that goes back. It's incentive. I do better at that piece of equipment, I get more money. So as far as I see it, this is a lot of my views. I would appreciate all your votes, because I know a lot of people out there don't vote or are talking about not voting. Don't do that. That's not right. I was in the military, and the military people backed the Constitution so you can have these rights. Take advantage of them. I mean, sometimes you got to vote for the least of the evils. Right now, I'm going to say this because I'm me. I think I'm the least of the problem out there, because some people think everything should be free. That's called socialism. Who pays for it? The people who are working. I've lived a long time, and I never had that free stuff. And usually, if it's free, somebody pays for it along the line somewhere. We already have one person in Washington that believes in free, and I don't think he's doing that good in my book. But anyways, this is how it should be in the state of Vermont. We've got to work together. We're a small state. We were one of the first states to join the Union, and we've come a long way in our history. And I think now what it is, and one thing is, out-of-staters have a right to come here. I don't mind if they come here, but I wish that they would remember one thing. Don't stand there and tell a Vermonter that, "Well, this is the way we did things where I come from." That is going to tee them off like there's no tomorrow, because Vermonters are set in their ways. May not be good ways sometime, but we don't like to be changed. We change when we feel like we should be changed. We don't need to be forced into changing. I hope you all vote. Take advantage of it. People who pre-voted, that was their prerogative. I'm still waiting, because I like the old voting booth if I can go to one. So right now, as far as it is, this is some of my views, and I do hope that you vote for me. I'd appreciate anybody's vote, no matter what party you're from, because I'm a write-in candidate. You just got to write my name in on the ballot, and I would appreciate that. Thank you very much.